Oh my God. Okay, we got it. Okay, period. Love you. Bye. There I am. What's up, Delaney?
Wait, that's so funny.
Okay.
You got to work. Oh,
With some delay.
yay! That's okay. Oh.
It's a little jank, but it's okay. It works.
Oh, that's. Oh, okay.
Let me get the link.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, we're gonna get started soon. So if you're planning on not really paying attention to this workshop, slash you're not gonna be participating, you can just move out of the front area. Unless you obviously do want to listen and can stay. And then any other groups who are further away, you can kind of move into the main area if you want to listen to this workshop. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we got something working. Let's see. Yeah, that's me. When? Okay.
We don't need Chrome, everyone.
Just YouTube.
You can set up whenever.
Perfect.
Oh, is there like a tiny URL that you can?
Yeah, I have it.
You can like broadcast.
This is like our actual website,
Hmm.
and
I'll open the other file.
oh, okay, I see.
Okay, it should be this.
Should we tell them about making the files? We don't have to, right?
Just go through it in the solution code. Okay, this is it. Put this one over here. Okay, let's go.
Okay, the workshop is also going to be live streamed on YouTube. So if you are a little bit far from the screen and you can't really see the words, you should be fine. They're going to be live streaming it.
It's a bit precarious here, so I don't know. Is your laptop gonna fit? Wait, I might just. Oh, I'm a little worried about sharing desktop, but I might just. You'll have to switch shares, I think. Just share between the code and the render.
What do you mean?
As in, each time you'll have to share the other screen, right? Can you share multiple screens? Screens?
I think you can just do the desktop and switch to. Are you worried about something?
I mean,
Okay.
sometimes I get weird texts, but
Okay.
it should be fine. I think it's fine.
Let's try it here. Okay,
So you should be able to just click this. Yeah, and then. Okay, maybe I'll put this on Do Not Disturb. Okay. Suddenly, people I don't know so much about me.
So if I do this. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then so 3 fingers up to switch screens. Right. Can you text me real quick so I can check if I get weird texts?
I don't think I have your number though.
That's okay. I'll just text my number.
No.
Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. Okay. Hooray! All right. All right. I will also record and then send you guys the recording. Okay. Do we want to do introductions? Oh, how do you?
Just automatic. Might not use that one.
Oh, there we go. Oh, Lord. Oh, there we go. Okay. 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 All right. There we are. Let's see. Okay. Where's the meeting control panel? Okay, Rebecca, it does look a little odd. So maybe you'll need to zoom in a bit.
Okay, what do you mean? Like,
As in like it basically like maximized everything to the size of the screen.
I see.
So coding is going to be a little bit tricky. I think you can zoom in.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll just zoom in. Okay, whatever. This will also zoom in. Yes. Let me just.
So tiny.
We are so professional here. Okay, ignore this. Over Web Dev Live. Okay. And then solution there. What was the link for the solution? It's in the slide. Workshop. Okay. Oh, yeah. There we go. See if we can just reduce the font size on this. Okay. Yay. Is this big enough? Let me just. There we go.
You also have a solution code.
Yes.
Here? Okay.
It's right. It's this one at the end, and this is the blank, and then this is the render.
I see.
Okay. Do you want me to? Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? All right. Are we good? Okay. Okay. Is this working? All right. So with that delay, just 2 minutes past Berkeley time, we are going to go ahead and get started. So my name is Dhruv. I am the VP of Education at Web Development at Berkeley, which is Berkeley's premier web dev organization. Okay, next.
Hi, I'm also a Berkeley student from WDB Club. My name is Rebecca Wang.
Okay, so today we're going to be presenting a workshop on web development. So we'll just be going over the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And basically, we're just going to try to bootstrap you guys into being able to put together at least a very simple website. And with time, hopefully you can grow those websites into something amazing. So for today, we're going to be live coding. So this screen is a little bit small. So we're also live casting on YouTube. So you can follow along there at this link. And then you can also see the finished code, like all the way finished code here, if you want to follow it along that way. So it is a GitHub. So I don't know about how familiar we are with GitHub, but GitHub is essentially a code repository where you store all of your code and all of your files. So you'll be able to see our finished file structure there. Okay, so like I said, today is a live coding demo. So if you're interested in following along, I suggest you open up your favorite code editor. And with that, I will let Rebecca take it away.
Okay, hi guys. So we will start building the website right now. So basically, today we will learn about 3 languages, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And my part will be HTML, which is basically coding the most basic building blocks of the website. So Do you guys all have text editor installed on your computer? The text editor, like Visual Studio Code? Oh, okay, cool. So I will just start writing then. So when you're naming your file name, you want to name it as index.html so that like the browser will know that this file is written in HTML language. So if I zoom in a little bit, you go to the text editor and make a new file and name it as index.html. And after that, I will start. So to get the skeleton code, you have to write HTML:5. Oh.
Oh, it's the Vim editor. Sorry. Okay, you're good.
Okay. Sorry. So like to get the skeleton code, you write HTML:5 and then press enter. And you will get the whole skeleton code on your Visual Studio Code. So this might look intimidating at first, but just to kind of like give a brief overview of what this means. So the first line, doc type HTML, it just tells the browser that this file is written in HTML. And every HTML file has to start and end with these HTML tags. And inside these tags, there are mainly two parts, which is the head part and the body part. So the head part that I'm highlighting right now, it is just like having the additional information about the website. And we'll put some like the most basic elements that we want to put in the website inside these body tags. So if you save this index.html, and if you right click the tab here, you will see the copy path option. Click that. And then go to your browser and paste your link there, and you'll see the blank page. Right now it is blank because we haven't written any code inside those body tags. Okay, so the first thing first, we'll start with the most basic thing, which is to change the title of the website. So you see these title tags inside these head tags, and you can change it to whatever you want. So let's say since we are building the weather app for this workshop, I will just name it weather app. If you save this, you have to save this by clicking Command and S together, and then go back to your browser and refresh your page. It is still blank, but if you look at the tab of your browser, you'll see that now the title has changed to weather app. Let's go back. And yeah, and before we actually talk about what we should put in the body part, I will just briefly show you the website that is already done. So like, if you look at here, this is basically the website that we are building right now. So it has how's the weather today text, and you can type in basically almost every city, you know. So let's say, for example, if you type in San Francisco, it will return the temperature and the weather of the San Francisco today, right now. So yeah, this is the website that we are building. So let's start by having this how's the weather today on our website. So how we do this is you go to the body tags and you use the H1 tag. What H1 tag means, it is basically the text, but with the bigger size and the bold fonts. So it is usually used for the heading. And inside this, you put the text that you want. So like, we want to put how's the weather today within these tags. So if you save this and go back to your browser, now you have this text above here. I mean, it looks different in font and the size, but you can change this later when you're using the CSS. So we are done with this text part. And so now we want to make this like search bar and search button. How do we do that? So let's go back to our code. So before we do that, it is usually a good idea to make a big container inside this body tags. And to make a container, you use div tag. So like you write div here. And you want to put almost every element inside these div tags. So I will move this H1 tags inside here. Hey, Drew. Sorry, how do you change the cursor?
Oh,
Sorry.
it's Vim. So you just need to just hit escape and then I.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't realize my Vim cursor.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, so let's make the search bar. Sorry about that. So in order to make the search bar, we will again make another div like this. And for the search bar, we will use the tag called input. If you type in input and press enter, you'll get this automatic completion. And the reason why the type is equal to text is because you will basically input the text or the name of the city inside this search bar. And when you're using the tags, you want to name it because when you're using the CSS and JavaScript, the another language that we will use later of the workshop, you have to name the tag so that you can access those tags. So for here, how to name those tags is by using the class attribute. What you basically do is just write the class like here and set it equal to some name that you want to name it. So right now, I will just name it as search bar. And for the divs, I will also do the same just to make sure that like we can access this later in our workshop. So I will name this div as a card since it is like a container. And also I will also name this div here as search. And after making the search bar, we also have to make a button, right? So like if we go back to our original website here, we have this like go button. In order to make this, it is really easy. You only have to write down the button tag. And inside the button tag, we will just write go here so that inside the button, there's like go text inside it. If we save this and go back to our website, the one that we are currently making, we see the search bar, and a go button. Right now, it does not do anything, but we will add functionalities to that. Do any of you guys have questions so far, or like you're following behind? If not, I can continue. So after that, we have some like text, right? So if we look at the website that we are trying to make here, we are done with this search bar and search button. But we still have to make this like San Francisco, US, and also like some images here and like the temperature. We will add this right now. So let's go back to our code. We are done with the search, so we will make another container. Div here. Okay, and we'll name this new div as weather loading. When you're naming this as weather space loading, it does not mean that like this div, its name is weather loading. We gave separate two names, weather and loading, so that if you use either the name weather and loading, you can just access this div. And inside this weather loading, the first thing we want to add is the location, right? So if you go back to our website here, we have this a little logo that kind of like tells the location part, and there's like a San Francisco, US. So we want to make a placeholder text so that it won't look weird when you first start the website. So inside this weather loading, I first want to put the icon, the location icon. And the way you do this is first go to the extension. So if you look at the Visual Studio Code, you will have on the left bar this extension button. If you click this, you can search React icon here. Yeah, click this and you have to install it in order to get the logos. Yeah, and after you installed it, you look at the details and see how to use it. So it says, open up command palette with command shift P and then enter command React icons. So let me go back to my code and press command shift P. And it will make the search bar appear. And then after that, you can type in React icons here. Click this, and now you will have this like React icons appear on the right side. And to find the icon that we want, we will search location, press button, and now you can see all the icons that is related to location. I should probably use this one, and make sure you press copy SVG and not copy JSX. So if you click this, copy SVG, and you can just erase this part after copying it, and you just plug it in here. And I will change the size of this SVG by changing the height to 1.5 and the width also 1.5. And I will also add a name to this SVG. And just like before, we will add the name by using the class attribute here. And I will set it equal to location icon. Or maybe to make it more easier, I will try to make another div here. So like, I will make another div that only contains the SVG so that you guys won't confuse it afterwards. So like here, I will name this as weather icon. Location icon. and paste the SVG path inside this div. And I'll erase this part. Yeah, so we are finished with the icon part. So if you look at your website, if your current website, you can see this icon appear on the website. And after that, we want to write down the name of the city, and we will use H2 tag. So like before, when we first started, we used the H1 tag. The H2 tag is basically the same thing with the H1 tag, but with a smaller size. So with the H2 tag, I will just write down the placeholder city name. So which is like, I will just use Denver, comma, US. And we all keep these two things, SVG and H2, inside this one division, which is weather loading, because they are like basically doing the same thing. And yeah, after that, what we have to do is have this description box. So we are done with this icon and the city name. So all we have to do is add this like cloud image and then like the description of the weather and then the temperature. So to add the image first, I will just make another div, which is called the weather description. So I will use class attribute again and write down weather description. And inside this, we'll have an image. And the way you insert the image here is by using the image tag img here. And the two attributes will appear, which is the source and then alternative text. We won't use alt here, so you can ignore that for now. But inside the source, you basically put in the link for the image inside that so that like the browser can access it. So the link for the image is given to you through the solution code. You can just copy and paste this image link and then put it inside your source, if that makes sense. Yeah. And if you save this and go back to your browser, now you can see all of those things appear on the same time. Right now it looks unorganized because we haven't used the CSS to arrange things in the right way, but it will look nicer and looks closer to the one that we're making right now as we go on. So we are almost done here for the HTML. If you go to the weather app demo, all we have to do is have this description of the weather and the temperature. So to add the description, we will use the P tag, which is just for like writing the text. So, and we will name this P as a description or like the contents. And as a placeholder text, I will just write down cloudy. Yeah, and after that, we want to add the temperature to our website, right? So all we have to do is write another div here. And inside that, we will write down another P that kind of like tells the temperature. So I will name this class as temp. And in order to get the Celsius logo, should I say the symbol for the Celsius, I will just go to the browser and search for the Celsius symbol. Yeah, so you can just copy and paste it from like the internet and then just paste it in here. Yeah. So if you save this and go to your website that you're currently making, we see that every element that we want for the website is all there, but they are just kind of like out of styles and the place. But that will be fixed once we get to the CSS part, because that's all about arranging things and styling things. And before I end the HTML part, I will just make a quick fix to my code so that it is kind of like consistent with the solution code and that like the CSS won't mess up. So first of all, I want to group this image and the contents like cloudy here into one div. So like I can put a tab here and add another div here. And I will name this as description. And after that, I will also group these together, the icon and the H2 tag, by putting them in another div here. And name it as location. Yeah, that's all you have to do for HTML tag, and I will pass the mic to Josh for the CSS part.
Okay, so it's come to our attention that many of you, number one, don't have a development environment in which you can follow along. So primarily, we're sorry about that. We didn't know that. But like I said, all the code is on GitHub if you guys want to follow along later. That was a lot of content. So if anyone has a question, I think we'll pause for 2 minutes for general questions. I know it's kind of hard to follow along if you don't have a code editor, but if you have any questions about web development in general. Okay, not all at once, but with that rousing response, let me think. So the problem is that, sharp pause. The problem is that none of the kids have working code editors. So they're all trying to work in Replit because these are managed computers. So they're unable to download working code editors. So I don't even know how they're going to get all the way to a website without a working code editor. So why don't we do this? Let me think. Yeah. Should we do conceptual? Okay, why don't I take a poll? I can ask. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. So since not many of you can follow along, we will give you the option. So this is a poll for everybody. Would you rather us take the rest of the time to finish this workshop with the code along, and we'll do the whole thing, and you'll be able to refer back to it later, and you have the solution code? Or would you rather take the rest of the time and we'll do a conceptual office hours? So you can ask us about web development. You can ask us about how would be the best way to start your project. You know, we can do like a conceptual Q&A. So of the people listening, which I don't know how many are, how many would prefer to finish the code along? Okay, decent response. And how many would prefer to switch to a conceptual office hour? Okay, I'm gonna need to count hands. So let's try it again. Okay, one more time. How many would prefer to finish the coding demo? Raise your hand very high. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And how many would prefer a conceptual office hour? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, more prefer the conceptual. So let's do this. I will finish the coding demo, and then my colleagues here, or Josh will finish the coding demo for CSS, and then I'll finish the coding demo for JavaScript, and then we'll be walking around. So you can ask us questions if you have conceptual questions. Does that sound like a decent compromise to everybody? Okay, so Josh, feel free to finish CSS, and then Rebecca and I will walk.
All right. And now that we have the baseline for our HTML page, we will want to move on to being able to style our HTML. In doing so, we will need to be able to create a new file that is called style.css. And it's all right if you put it in the same directory as your index.html. And so in doing so, we will be able to refer to this style.css file and therefore style our website. In order for our HTML file to be able to read these styles from CSS, we need to be able to add a line into our HTML file. And I will provide it here for you guys. It will be a link tag . And we will need to specify that it is a style sheet. All right, and we need to specify that it will be a style sheet with the reference equal to our styles.css a file. All right, and now that we have done that, we are ready to begin styling our website. So before we get into styling the individual elements in our web page, we want to try to be able to specify some global styles for our web page. And some of these might include like a global font family that we want our entire website to be in. And so in doing this, let us start with a body tag. within CSS, we want to be able to style our elements using by accessing the properties of these tags. And these properties are what tells the website what to describe these tags as, and we can have many different operations which can change the layout and appearance of our website. So one of these properties in CSS is called font family. And this is what we'll be using in order to set the global font family for our website. You're free to be able to look up any font family that you like, but for this demo, we'll be using Rubik sans serif. All right. Now that we have established some global styles for our website, let's start moving on to styling some of the more individual tags for our website. Starting off with this large div called card. And so to be able to access these elements from our website, we have noticed that we have named them in our HTML file using the class attribute. And this allows the CSS file to be able to read which attribute of the element that we want to be able to modify. And so in accessing this from our CSS file, it's as simple as putting a dot or a period in front of the class name that we want to access and the name of the class. So in this case, it will be .card. And some of the properties that we want to change for this div, if we go back to our web page, we notice that none of the text is centered. There's not very good layout for this text. The font size might not be what we want. The font color, maybe the background. And so going back here, let's first center all the text inside this website. We'll do this first by setting the display of this card or this div. And essentially what display does is it tells this element in our CSS what exactly or how exactly we want to display the elements within it. And there are a bunch of different ways to display these elements. However, we have decided to use display flex. Display flex is just a very easy and nice way to be able to position elements on our web page in a nice way that preserves the aesthetic of your web page. And so with display flex, we have to specify a flex direction. What this is essentially the direction in which we want the child elements or the elements within this div to be aligned along. So this will specify the main axis of alignment. And because our structure of our web page is vertical, users want to be able to scroll up and down this web page, we will describe the flex direction as column. Okay. And to be able to align the children of this div better, we want to be able to center our content. And so to be able to do that, we will use a justify content property of this card. And what justify content does is that it sort of specifies which a positioning of the children along the main axis or the direction of the flex direction. And so we see with justify content, there are a bunch of different options that we can use, but what we want here is center. And this essentially will center the elements along the vertical axis. Align items is another property of divs that we can use with Flexbox in order to align the items along the other axis or the perpendicular axis to the flex direction. In this case, we also want it to be centered, so that makes this easy for us. Finally, we can specify the height pretty easily just by using height. Feel free to play around with this, but we have specified for you that the height will be 100 VH. VH stands for view height, and so viewport height. And basically, there are a lot of different units in which you can use to measure distances or heights, widths, lengths in CSS. VH is just one of them. Each one VH is 1% of the viewport height. So in this case, we want the height to be 100%. Finally, we'll add a margin. So this margin property of the card essentially describes the space around the box that we want to keep it away from other elements. Sometimes on our web pages, elements can become really close together, it can be cramped. We want to space them out or just have spacing between them. And so a nice way to do that is with margin, which specifies how much distance you want away from each edge of this element. And if you imagine the card or the divs to be rectangles, the margin is essentially the distance away from each edge outside the rectangle that we want other elements to respect. And so if we save this styles.css and reload our page, you will probably see a difference in our styling. All right, moving on to the next element that we wish to edit. We see, going back to our index.html, the next class that we want to be able to change is called search. And so once again, to specify which element of the website that you want to edit, you just have a period and the class name. So .search. Once again, we will use display flex. This is just an easy way to be able to align items within your flex boxes. Align items will be centered. And we will justify the content as center as well. All right, moving on. We want to be able to edit the style of the search bar here. And so, similar to the previous two classes, it is simply the period and the class name to be able to select that class. All right, here we wish to specify some more properties of the search bar or the search button. A couple of new properties we wish to introduce. One of them is called text align. Yeah.
Sorry, this is technical.
Right. Is there a reason why?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Thank you. All right. Sorry, everyone. I'm back. All right. One more property that we want to add is called text align. And just like this property entails, it's basically aligning the text. This is only horizontal alignment. So be careful that you understand that text align only is able to align the text that is inside a div along the vertical axis. Some more CSS that you're free to look up more in detail. There's cursor, which we'll specify as pointer. This basically allows the website to know what exactly you want your mouse to look like when you're hovering over the search bar. You can play around with that as you like, but these are just aesthetics at this point. Outline. Many divs or texts might have some border or some outline on denoting their edges, and outline in this case will be none. We do not want any outline on this div. Margin, once again, this is spacing around the div. In this case, we want a little bit of spacing, so we put 0.5 ems. 1 em is another unit of measurement for CSS. Essentially, it is, you can think of it as the spacing of the letter M in length. Okay, moving on, border, similar to outline, we do not want any border here. Height, pretty self-explanatory, 3.2 ems. Width, yeah, once again, pretty self-explanatory. Some more ems. All right. Next, we will try to change the background color. And so this is the first element of our website that we're trying to change the background color. As you can see, there are many pre-built colors in for you. If you know something about hexadecimal, if you search up your own colors, feel free to look at a color picker online. But for this case, we have selected one for you. And you can access colors, as you can see, using their hexadecimal notation. Next, the color attribute. Color is different from background color in the way that is, color refers to the text color inside the div, whereas background color is the background color. So in this case, we can use one of the defaults, which is white. Font size, pretty self-explanatory. You can, we can make it 0.9 ems. Might seem strange, but 0.9 ems basically just scales it to 0.9 of the letter M. You can also use pixels and other units of measurement for your font sizes as well. Font weight. If you ever wanted to make your font bold or seem more flashy on your website, you can use font weight. In this case, we'll use 500. I think default is 300, so 500 as a font weight will, in general, make your font more bold on your website. Finally, border radius. Border radius is kind of a little bit tricky to visualize, but essentially each of your divs is like a rectangle. And if you increase the border radius, it essentially rounds the edges of your divs. So if you want to make your search bar a little more rounded around the edges, using a border radius will be able to do that. And so in this case, our border radius will be 30 pixels. And finally, if we want to add a shadow to our div, some more shading or like depth for our elements on the website, we can use box shadow. Box shadow, unlike the other properties so far that we have seen, it will take in multiple different values. And CSS is smart enough that it will be able to pick up on these multiple different values if we specify spaces between them. And so the box shadow, basically, the first two values are its location with respect to the div. So in this case, we want it 5 pixels below, and the last one will be the color of the box shadow that we want it to be. And so saving the styles of CSS, hopefully we'll see some changes on the website. Oh, seems like, all right. We have centered our text, and our search bar should be looking a bit different. All right. Cool. Moving on, let's try to change the input to our input to our website, which is basically where we type in the city that we want to find the weather in. In order to do this, we will specify the input tag. And for CSS, you don't always have to be able to style classes by class name. You can also style elements on your web page by their tag. And this simply will be able to style all elements on your website with the same tag. All right, and so I'm sure many of you guys can copy this pretty quickly, but we've seen some of these properties before. The border will be none. We want outline to also be none. Our margin will be 0.5 ems. We will have padding, and padding is another way to space out elements within your websites. Margin is the space outside the divs or outside the elements. Padding will be the spacing inside the elements. So if you don't want your child divs or child elements to be pressed along against the edges of the parent elements, you can use padding to space it out. And for here, we'll specify 0.8 ems and 1.2 ems. Having two attributes.
I mean, yeah, okay. So did you change the JS file name to script.js? Okay, I need to make some changes. Okay, we think that we have a way for you guys to actually finish this whole demo. Like, we think we found a code editor that you can use. So if everyone wants to go to replit.com, and then I'm going to push a fix to our solution code, and then you should be able to copy and paste our solution into Replit to get it to work. So I'm going to do that right now for everyone, and then let's see where we end up, okay? So don't copy our solutions yet, because I have to fix them.